Hey, what's good, everybody? It's Jay Coffee Talk back again with another video for you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take that quick moment, subscribe and hit the bell if you're new to the channel. If you didn't know, we talk it all on this channel: music, sports, news, and more. So now you know. Make sure to tap in the comments. But we got some news coming out of the hip hop world here on this video. And, this is a podcast episode that just, came out yesterday. I was fortunate enough to see a sneak peek of this, you know what I mean, to get a preview of this live. But, it felt like 10 days for this episode to come out. And that was my bro. As you guys may know, I'm affiliated with them through online. Spider Loke, I've done some work for him and stuff like that, like some video editing and everything like that. And he was cool enough to bless my channel with an interview. I'm going to put the link for that in the pinned comments on here so y'all can go check it out. We did it, I want to say it's like 10 months ago. It was a really good interview, so go check it out. But shout out Spider Loke. Thanks again for the interview. As I said, I didn't know what was going to happen with this. I got to see the sneak preview. It felt like 10 days. It got real on this podcast, and I started thinking that Adam 22, this was No Jumper we're talking about, was maybe going to edit some of the stuff that went on that, that they talked about, because, like I said, when I saw the preview live, certain things, it felt like Adam got a little uncomfortable when SPI was going in, and just like I said, not pulling any punches when he was speaking on different stuff, and, certain artists got brought up. Adam looked, I don't know, like he just looked a little uncomfortable to me, and sometimes it felt like he was just kind of trying to neutralize things with little stuff he would say. But, SPI didn't switch his tune up. He kept on, delivering the facts over feelings, as SPI always says. So I started thinking, after it took him so long to get this episode up, that he was maybe going to edit some stuff out of there, but he didn't. He kept it real, I mean, I guess with No Jumper, he does so many episodes of the podcast, so many interviews and everything like that, that he has to space them out when he uploads them. So I guess that's all it was, but it just felt like it took forever for him to get this episode up. Now, I know there's some other people out there that was watching that preview with me when it went down live, you know what I mean? And I know y'all probably did. Let me know if you guys saw that too, where it felt like certain stuff Adam was like shook to touch on and seemed a little uncomfortable, but SPI don't care. So he keeps it a Google. But I'm gonna react and go over, the stuff from the podcast, some of the different things they touched on. Tapping in the comments, guys. Something that got brought up early on, Adam 22 brought up, was Takashi 6ix9ine. He got brought up like indirectly, and Spider Loke said something, about the Gotti video. And if you remember, in the Gotti video, he was transformed into a female, and he had rainbow coming out of his hands and everything like that. And that was wild, man. Like, I'm sure, a lot of you guys, I talk about it on my channel sometimes, like agendas, the elite and things like that. And, there was a time when we all watched a lot more videos like that than when we do now. You know what I mean? Like hip hop Illuminati and everything like that. And, you're probably like me, where, you still believe that there is some things going on, but you look at it maybe from a more logical, rational point of view than you did back in the day. But that whole thing, man, with the rainbows and him turning into a female on that video was really strange, man. Like something was going on with that. I don't know, man, but Spider Loke called it out. Now, Adam 22, he always seems to bring up Takashi, it feels like, to guests, because No Jumper has advanced the careers a lot of these, I guess we'll call them like face tattoo genre of rap, I guess you could call them, or generation of rap. And Takashi's one of them. He had him on No Jumper before he blew up. He also did like a lot of vlogs with him and everything like that. I guess they're not cool now, but he definitely played a part in helping his career get going. But it's been brought up by both of them that there's some tension between Adam 22 and Takashi. Now, moving on, Then they talked about when Spider Loc met Buck and 50 Cent. And, he spoke about how he was kind of like aggressive to shoot a shot that he didn't. And same thing when he met Suge, too, that he met Suge, he came home. And he was like, yo, when Suge was coming home, he's like, I got to make it a point to meet Suge Knight. You know what I mean? I got to make it a point to. And when he got the chance to meet Buck in a 50 Cent, same thing. Like, he came up on them like, yo, I'm SPI, boom, spit for him and everything like that. And, I guess that's always worked for SPI. And, with Buck, interesting story you guys might have heard of before is how shortly before him meeting Buck, the chain had got, snatched in Chicago, which was, I believe, from that D-Tay dude, you know what I mean? That was like Buck's homie. Now I guess he's G-Unit South still, even though Buck ain't cool with Fifth, I guess. I don't know. But, Spider Loc was able to help get that chain back to Buck through some connections he had and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because of his status, because of who he knows, what he does, and that helped him. And, Buck always looked up to him. And you can see that if you go back and look at stuff. I remember on the Prodigy audiobook, he mentions about how, young Buck was kind of always following Spider Loc around. And, Spider Loc admitted and said in interviews, that he kind of put Buck on his hood, kind of like as an honorary thing, to help advance his career. And, now Buck, since then, he moved on. He got with Big U. He was with someone else at another time, from that side of things and everything. And I don't know, that's what he does. But Buck certainly is in this situation that he's in now. I don't know, that's something about that him and Adam 22 spoke about on there as well, that if young Buck, kept it funky, came out and spoke about what's going on, you know what I mean? He flat out, Adam said, if there was an interview to come out on Vlad, he said, or No Jumper, but he's like, I just feel like them Vlad headlines catch people more. Young Buck comes clean about trans allegations or something like that. Buck's going to be the face of that LGBTQ whatever. I don't know all the different letters, but we know that's a big thing going on in all aspects of the entertainment industry right now. But, Buck doesn't want to come out the closet, basically. I don't know. It was rumored when everyone saw those pictures of him with the Lil Nas X dude and everything like that, that he had came out the closet. But I didn't see any, official word from Buck. But, bottom line is, he stepped in, like I said, shot his shot, did what he did, got Buck the chain back, put Buck under the wing, so to speak, which got him in with Buck, which got him in the position where he could meet 50, spit that freestyle, and, the rest is history. He got that G-Unit deal and everything. And, something that I found interesting, that they spoke about too, was what it was like when he left Death Row to get with G-Unit. Now, a lot of people don't know this. I mean, not like it's a big secret, but just a lot of people, it's a misconception, I guess we'll say, that when he was with Death Row, it was just like he was affiliated. He actually hadn't signed a deal, And, they spoke about when he left, when he cut ties with Suge and was like, hey, this just ain't working, and then ended up getting with 50 Cent, which it wasn't lined up. It worked out like that down the road a little bit. You know what I mean? Suge took it very well, when he left. And when, at the time rocking with 50 and everything, 50 had inherited that beef, because of being with M, with Dre, Aftermath, Interscope, Shady Records. Of course, Suge Knight was not fond of them at all and everything. And we saw how that, that beef, as a side note, Murder Inc. ended up involved in it because of 50. It was crazy that you need a flow chart or something like that, or a graph to, go over all the different people and how they were linked to the beef. It really branched out. But, you know what I mean? He said Fifth didn't seem to really care that he was, with death row prior. So, it was an easy thing. It was nothing really to it. Now, check this out. This is where it got a little crazy. And this is something that a lot of people always seem to always want to know, like in different blog sites and stuff like that. In comments, I always see this stuff. And it's stuff that I was curious of myself, too. And, a lot of other fans out here is when he was with G Unit, you got the game beef. You got how he ended up beefing with Snoop. And, now we all know, what I'm saying, that SPI and 50 Cent ain't cool no more. Things went bad. Fifth didn't keep it real with him. He never really kind of explained to him what happened when they went their separate way. He just kind of gave him the silent treatment. And, before I continue with that, I just want to say how I'm talking in this interview that Spider Loc didn't pull any punches and, keeps it real. I got to say, when it comes to record deals and things like that on major labels, which Spider Loc had, a lot of times these artists that are like that just kind of keep it too real, people who they're signed under sometimes get scared. You know what I mean? Like, they, a lot of times people just want to be someone that they can just tell, not maybe think for themselves, tell them what to do in a deal. And I can't see Spider Loc going for something for that, like that. So in the end, I guess it kind of hurt him. You know what I mean? The fact that he keeps it real or whatever. But anyways, so he started beefing with Game, you know what I mean? When Game started saying G not. And, a lot of people don't know Spider Loc and Game knew each other prior to G Unit. And I believe they had actually worked together. 40 Glock too. But anyways, he started, dissing because out of loyalty to 50 Cent. But then he actually came out his mouth and said 50 Cent stayed with Snoop Dogg's nuts in his mouth. And it was crazy because Snoop Dogg and Spider Loc, I guess, had issues because of his time with Death Row. But Snoop Dogg and Spider Loc had issues because of Spider Loc's time with Death Row. But at this time, I guess he thought that they had cleared the air. But for some reason, he said it felt like Snoop Dogg just kind of, there was some tension there. So Snoop's telling him, hey, I rock with you because you rock with 50 Cent. And for some reason, he said 50. He flat out said 50 kept Snoop's nuts in his mouth. Now, check this out. Adam got really uncomfortable, like I told you at certain parts of this interview, when he was talking about Snoop. Like, I don't know what it was, but when they were talking about Snoop, Adam seemed uneasy, like he didn't really want to get into any of that. But nonetheless, it's just kind of crazy. It seemed like Snoop took Game. Snoop and 50 are cool, right? But then Snoop and 50 are cool, but then 50 and Game have that falling out. So then Spider Loc's dissing Game. So is 50. But Snoop's saying, hey, I'm taking issue with you, Spider Loc, because of your issue with Game. But yet Snoop's still cool with 50. Like, it's just all kind of weird when you think about it. But I remember back then, he kind of, started dissing Spider Loc in some interviews, taking shots at him. He was saying something, he wanted to promote a fight between them. And, there's a lot of footage out there based on that. I'm not really going to go all into it. I'm just going to keep moving, with the whole issues that they ended up having. You could go down a rabbit hole watching all that footage, them YouTube rabbit holes. But anyways, where he got kind of more uncomfortable when they started going on about Snoop, Spider Loc was saying he didn't really like, as a heterosexual man, his sons play in Snoop Dogg's football league. And he said he felt like Snoop was trying too hard to push this, like, I don't know, do y'all remember that footage that was going around with that, like, gay superhero on Instagram where the dude, they were like in the mall or something, and he was like wearing tights, and he did like a flip and beat someone up and everything. And Snoop was saying, "Yo, I'm his #1 fan. This is my favorite superhero and everything." And Spider Loc didn't like that. He wasn't feeling it, and he said, "Having, as we know what's going on in the industry, as I said, with like homosexuality and everything like that, and with all that." And it is what it is, man. That's not me taking shots at people that are homosexual. It's just, it does seem to be like there is an agenda going on out there. And he said, "I want to stand up for masculinity and heterosexuality the same way a lot of people are standing up for that other stuff." And man, we're men, and we come from a different generation. I mean, it is what it is, what's going on now, but we come from a different generation. And he found that funny. Snoop was like promoting this guy and was saying, with his sons playing in Snoop's football league, as you know, he got the youth football league out there in LA. He said that's a conflict of interest. Like, that's what I'm saying. He pulled no punches, man. Get in the comments and let me know what you guys thought about when he was talking about Snoop. But Adam seemed really funny about it. Then he talked about, this is what I'm saying, y'all, about sometimes you got to read between the lines on stuff, right? They start talking about the Murder Was the Case video, and he was like, "I just find it funny," right? He's promoting this gay superhero. And then, you know what I'm saying? 50 Cent's pushing Takashi 6ix9ine at one point. He already brought up the rainbow thing there in the man turning into a woman in the video, in the Gotti video. Well, then, what about in that Murder Was the Case video? He said it was almost seemed like symbolic when Snoop Dogg was talking to that dark figure that, he was selling his soul. I'm telling you, man. Adam was like, "Oh, I just thought it was like supposed to be like a horror movie." But I'm telling you, Adam 22 seemed uncomfortable when Spider Loc was talking about this stuff. And it just makes me wonder, man. I've never taught, like, I've chopped it up with SPI a few times, like I told you. I had him a channel on my interview with him, but I've never, asked him about none of this stuff. But don't that just seem crazy? Some of the stuff that he was bringing up. And like I said, the fact that he was with these major labels and things just didn't work out and everything, it just makes you wonder, man, if Spider Loc saw some weird stuff, you know what I mean, that he's not directly addressing, but he is addressing. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to read between the lines, right? I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think. And, he ended up saying, too, how Snoop, they didn't portray it properly, some of the stuff that happened with him, how he was spit on by Pooh Rider, Wack 100's homie, who's locked up. I see him all the time posting on the gram. I think we actually follow each other. But Wack got brought up too, because they had some issues and everything like that. And Spider Loc was talking about how he used to mess with a female that Wack messed with later. I'm not sure if this is Wack's wife now, but he kind of feels like that's always why it was kind of weird, like Wack on the low didn't like him. But then at the same time, it was weird. It was like Wack always tried to name drop Spider Loc. You know what I mean? Always tried to name drop him, calling him his cousin, calling him his family. And it was just kind of weird. As we know, that's the way Wack rocks. You know what I mean? He name drops people all the time. And, the fact that he always was saying Spider Loc's family, and he brought up something else. Spider Loc brought up something else really interesting in this. If you guys remember the whole story, this is also in Prodigy's audiobook. When Wack didn't manage Game yet, there was a situation where the Game was, I think, in Hollywood or something like that, and he got ran down on by some guys that 40 Glock was with. They kind of had him backed up in a corner, kind of shook or whatever, and Wack ended up getting called down there, came down there with Suge Knight, and 40 Glock always talk about this, how Wack, said, you got to give him a pass. I'll owe you one. He's going to owe me a lot. I'm going to manage him. I'm going to get up under him is the way, or get him in a chokehold or whatever. That's the way 40 Glock always spoke about this. Well, for years, Wack has brought this incident up and always attributed it to Spider Loc, but it was really 40 Glock. So it's just kind of weird, man. You got to really think about when you hear Wack 100, the way he name drops people. It's all about, and they went over some other, Instagram beefs and stuff like that Wack 100's been up to, but that's what he does, man. He name drops people. He moves this around. I mean, nonetheless, he's doing some things in the industry, but I don't know, man. Wack it's always some funny stuff. We seen with the Tyson thing, and Adam 22 actually said when Wack got brought up that he bumped into him in Blueface backstage at a show, and Wack was supposed to come in the next day. I don't know if Blueface was coming to do an episode of No Jumper, and he never came and never let him know what it was. But I don't know. Now, one more thing that got brought up about 50 Cent, this is about the last thing I'm really going to go over, is we know how it all ended. Like I said, 50 just didn't really push Spider Loc. And, Adam 22 kind of said, do you think it went down like this? After Yayo's album flopped, he never pushed these other artists. Because, Banks, Buck, you know what I mean? On their projects, The Game, 50 was heavily involved, featured on songs. 50 was hot back then. He was all over everything, and he helped work on these projects to push the G-Unit brand and the label and everything like that, and help these artists establish themselves and sell records. But he said then Yayo seemed to flop, right? Is that what happened? And Spider Loc actually shared that he did the same thing with him. They had about 8 records together, which is out there. You guys can go listen to the albums they did together. Spider Loc, about a year and a half ago or so, when he first started really getting active on Instagram, he dropped the Lost Tapes project, which was a lot of stuff that he worked on that time, because, they did have a Spider Loc album ready to go. But what ended up happening is when he ended up, 50 Cent and Jimmy Iovine's relationship went bad. That's why G-Unit Records, where they signed with some like independent label like Caroline Records or something like that, him being linked to Shady and Interscope and all that, like him and Shady are still cool, but Jimmy Iovine got him up out of there, off Aftermath, off Interscope. And, that's kind of what happened. And he spoke about how 50 Cent had such an ego, started calling himself Curtis, Interscope, Jackson. But, once he fell off, he didn't have the juice like that to put the album together and get it distributed properly. And we really saw no G-Unit artist really ever got pushed like that again. Am I wrong or what? I don't know. Y'all let me know. But anyways, he ended up putting those projects out that they worked on that time. And 50 got all the tracks that featured him that Spider Loc put out, cease and desist, pulled off all the digital platforms, but they still are available here on YouTube. But ain't that crazy all these years later? I don't know, So a lot of people, said things like, hey, Spider Loc was bitter. Spider Loc's a hater. With him dissing 50 Cent with the Getting My Loc on and, the trolling he's done and everything. But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm saying. People want to troll me because I'm just keeping it real and giving y'all my opinion. He's just trolling Fifth back. He's getting in on the internet wave, on the gram, letting the people get familiar with him. That, he already had fans that we all already know about Spider Loc, but a lot of the newer generation doesn't. So he's just trolling him back. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Everyone else does that. But I see, why he really is. I don't see him being just bitter towards 50 Cent. I see that he's just speaking on what really happened because that story never really got out there. You know what I mean? We never knew. Spider Loc just took a hiatus. He just took a hiatus from everything. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, say someone did you wrong, right? Just think about yourself. You got this major deal with a major company somewhere, and then when it was your time to really get paid, you just got cut off. No one never really told you why. They messed up. the things with the boss above them, and then they never really had the heart to tell you why, and then you just say, you know what, I'm gonna take a hiatus and go spend time with my family. So then, you come back and you just tell what happened. I just don't see that as hating, I just seen it as speaking facts. And something else that 50 Cent did when, like, a year before Spider Low came out of this hiatus, and then something else they went over on there, was he's the one that leaked that footage of Spider Low fighting at the gas station. And something that's kind of crazy, but yes, 50 Cent leaked that. And that ended up being an evidence in a case, you know what I mean? SPI did get arrested and had to go to court and everything for that. But something that I didn't even know, he brought up on there, was that footage was heavily edited, because that was surveillance footage. And, he said it almost turned into like a racial riot, as he was fighting like a Mexican dude. I guess he was in a Mexican neighborhood, and he said a lot of stuff is on that fight that you didn't see, where like a bunch of people who were there all ended up kind of pressing him, surrounded him like he was about to get jumped. And, he said the footage is just kind of edited to where you just see him throwing punches. And, like how he tries to snatch his keys back from that woman, but they don't show that. It just, you know what I mean? It just looks all crazy, you know what I mean? But, I don't know, he said, it's kind of a conspiracy, if you ask me, right? But I don't know, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This was just kind of like my reaction review of this podcast, some of the talking points that I wanted to go over. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will catch you guys on the next video. Like I said, there's something for everyone on my channel: music, sports, news, and much, much more. Follow me on the gram and on Twitter. Get in the comments. Don't forget to hit that sub and that bell. I'm out of here. Peace.